I'd always thought my life with Emily was a quiet masterpiece, a painting of muted colors that somehow glowed brighter with time. We'd been married 12 years, settled into a rhythm that felt like the hum of a well-tuned engine. I'm Daniel, a 38-year-old architect with a penchant for precision, blueprints, angles, the certainty of lines. Emily, 35, was a freelance illustrator, her world a swirl of whimsy and chaos that balanced my own. We lived in a modest house on the edge of Portland, Oregon, with a backyard that stretched into a tangle of blackberry bushes and a view of Mount Hood on clear days. Our daughter, Lily, was 7, a spark of joy with Emily's hazel eyes and my stubborn streak. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. That autumn, though, something shifted. Emily started spending more time at her studio downtown, a rented loft she shared with other artists. She'd come home later, her sketch pads tucked under her arm, her cheeks flushed with a creative fever I hadn't seen in years. I was proud of her. Her work was getting noticed, galleries were calling. But there was a distance in her eyes, a flicker I couldn't place. I'd ask about her day, and she'd smile vague, saying, "Oh, just the usual lines and colors." I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? Trust was the foundation of our marriage, the rebar in the concrete of us. Then came the first clue. It was a Wednesday, mid-October, the air crisp with fallen leaves. I was sorting laundry. Mundane, yes, but I liked the order of it, when I found a shirt in her hamper that wasn't hers. A man's flannel, navy blue with thin red stripes, size large. I'm a medium. I held it up, puzzled, the fabric soft and worn, smelling faintly of cedar and something else, something unfamiliar. I called up the stairs. She poked her head out of the bathroom, towel around her hair. "Whose is this?" I asked, dangling the shirt like evidence. She froze, just for a second, then laughed. "Oh, that's Tom's. He left it at the studio. I must have grabbed it by mistake." Tom, her studio mate, a sculptor, bearded, perpetually in overalls. I nodded, accepting it. Mistakes happen. But the shirt sat in my mind like a splinter. Days later, I noticed more. Her phone buzzed at odd hours, and she'd tilt the screen away, her fingers quick to silence it. She started wearing a new perfume, sharp and citrusy. Not the lavender she'd loved since we met. I'd catch her staring out the window, lost in thought, her lips twitching into a half-smile that wasn't for me. I told myself it was nothing, stress, inspiration, the ebb and flow of a long marriage. But doubt is a slow poison. Seeps in, quiet at first, then loud. I started paying attention. By November, the air between us thickened. Emily's late nights became routine, her excuses polished but thin. "The gallery deadline's tight," she'd say, kissing my cheek as she rushed out the door, her bag slung over her shoulder. I'd nod, stirring pasta for Lily, pretending the knot in my gut wasn't growing. I didn't want to be that husband, the jealous type, the one who snoops. But the flannel shirt haunted me. I'd washed it, folded it, left it on her dresser, and she hadn't mentioned it again. It was still there, a silent witness. One evening, I couldn't take it. Lily was at a sleepover, and Emily texted she'd be home by 10. The clock ticked past 11, then midnight. I sat in the living room, blueprints spread across the coffee table, but my eyes kept drifting to the window. At 12:47, headlights swept the driveway. She came in, hair messy, her coat dusted with sawdust. "Sorry," she murmured, avoiding my gaze. Tom needed help with a piece. Sawdust. From a sculptor. Plausible. But her hands trembled as she poured water, and I saw it. A faint mark on her neck, just below her ear. A smudge, maybe ink, or something else. The next day, I did something I'd never imagined. I drove to her studio. It was a gray building near the river, all brick and rusted fire escapes. I didn't go in, just parked across the street, watching. Tom's truck was there, a battered Ford with a dented tailgate. Then I saw them. Emily stepped out, laughing, her hand brushing his arm. He leaned close, too close, whispering something that made her blush. My chest tightened. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. They didn't see me. I drove home. The image burned into my skull. That night, I asked her point blank, "Is something going on with Tom?" She was in the kitchen, chopping carrots, and the knife paused midair. "What?" she said, turning, her voice sharp. "No, Daniel. He's a friend. A colleague." Her eyes met mine, steady, but there was a flicker, guilt, maybe, or defiance. You're different lately," I said softer. She sighed, set the knife down. "I'm busy. That's all." She hugged me, her arms tight, and I wanted to believe her. But the sawdust, the mark, the laugh, they clawed at me. Thanksgiving came and we hosted. Emily's parents, my sister, a few friends. I watched her all day, a hawk tracking a rabbit. She was charming, radiant, passing mashed potatoes and refilling wine. Tom wasn't there. He'd gone to Seattle, she said, but his absence felt louder than his presence would have. I kept seeing her hand on his arm, the way her body angled toward him. At dinner, she caught me staring. "You okay?" she whispered, squeezing my knee under the table. I nodded, forcing a smile. But I wasn't. After everyone left, I found her phone on the counter, unlocked, a rare lapse. I hesitated, my pulse loud in my ears, then scrolled. Texts from Tom. Dozens. "Missed you today. That thing we talked about. Still on? You're incredible." My stomach dropped. I clicked one with a photo attached. It loaded slowly. Then there it was. Emily in her studio, hair loose, wearing nothing but a sheet draped over her shoulder, paint streaking her arms. Tom's shadow in the frame, holding the camera. My breath stopped. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. I put the phone down, hands shaking. She was upstairs, humming in the shower. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, the photo replaying in my mind. Not just betrayal, something deeper, something performative. She'd posed for him, bared herself in a way she hadn't for me in years. I thought of Lily, asleep in her room, and rage bubbled up, hot and unfamiliar. I didn't confront her that night. I needed proof, a plan. Revenge wasn't a word I'd used before, but it fit now, sharp and cold. The next morning, she acted normal. Coffee, toast, a kiss on my forehead. I played along, but I was unraveling. I called in sick, drove to the studio again. This time I went inside. The loft smelled of turpentine and clay. Tom was there, alone, chiseling a block of stone. "Hey, Dan," he said, surprised. "Emily's not here." I smiled tight. "Just dropping by." I saw it then, her easel, a canvas half-finished. A sketch of him, shirtless, his hands on her shoulders. My vision blurred. December rolled in, bleak and wet. I stopped sleeping. Emily didn't notice or didn't care. She'd come home late, glowing, and I'd lie awake, plotting. The photo, the sketch, they were pieces of a puzzle I couldn't unsee. I started digging. Tom's Instagram was private, but his ex-wife's wasn't. She'd posted rants about him, cheating, lies, a temper, pattern. I found his address, a rundown house in St. John's, and drove by. His truck sat out front, lights on inside. I imagined them there, together, and my hands itched to smash something. I needed more. I borrowed a friend's camera, a DSLR with a zoom lens, and became a shadow. One night, I followed her. She left at 6, said she'd be home by 9. I tailed her to the studio, parked a block away. Through the lens, I saw them. Tom pouring wine, Emily laughing, then the lights dimming. They moved to a corner out of sight, but the window betrayed them. Shadows merged, deliberate, intimate. I snapped photos, my throat tight. Not just a fling, a ritual, a betrayal woven into her art. Back home, I printed the shots, grainy but clear. Her face, his hands. I hid them in my office, locked in a drawer. Lily asked why I looked sad. I said I was tired. Emily noticed too, but her concern felt hollow. "You're quiet," she said one morning, brushing her hair. "Work's heavy," I lied. She nodded, distracted, and left for the day. I sat there, the house silent, and let the anger harden. Revenge wasn't enough. It had to be precise, devastating. I started small. I called the gallery hosting her next show, anonymous, and hinted at personal issues affecting her work. They didn't cancel, but I heard doubt in their voice. Then I turned to Tom. His ex-wife's posts mentioned a DUI public record. I dug up the file, found he was on probation. One slip and he'd be back in court. I smiled for the first time in weeks. This was just the beginning. Christmas loomed, and I played the part: tree, lights, gifts for Lily. Emily helped, but her mind was elsewhere. She'd hum, lost in thought, and I'd catch her texting, quick and secretive. I had the photos, the proof, but I wasn't ready to show my hand. I wanted her to feel it first, the slow unraveling of her world. Tom was the key. If I could break him, she'd fracture too. I tracked his routine. He drank at a dive bar on Fridays alone, nursing whiskey. I went once, sat in the back, watched. He flirted with the bartender, sloppy, loud, vulnerable. I called his probation officer, anonymous again, said I'd seen him stumbling out, keys in hand. A lie but plausible. They'd test him soon, I'd make sure of it. Meanwhile, I fed Emily's paranoia. Tom called the house. I said one night, casual. Her fork froze midair. What? Why? She stammered. Dunno. Sounded off. Her eyes darted, and I knew I'd struck a nerve. The gallery called her that week: delays, concerns. She paced, frustrated, blaming miscommunication. I nodded, sympathetic, while my mind spun. I found her old sketchbooks, flipped through them. Pages of me, Lily, our life, then abruptly Tom. His face, his hands, her obsession laid bare. I tore one out, kept it. Evidence. She didn't notice. New Year's Eve. She said she had to finish a piece. I let her go, followed again. They toasted, kissed, oblivious. I didn't photograph it, I didn't need to. The rage was fuel now, cold and steady. I drove home, sat in the dark, and planned. Tom's ruin first, probation, reputation, his art. Then Emily's, her career, her pride, her lies. Lily would stay safe, untouched. This wasn't about destruction, it was about justice, sharp and cruel, a blueprint of my own design. January arrived, brittle and gray, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. Emily was distracted, her laughter forced, her eyes darting to her phone more than ever. I kept up the charade. Breakfast with Lily, small talk over coffee. But inside, I was a furnace, stoking the flames of what I'd started. Tom's probation officer had followed my tip. I'd seen the county car parked near his house twice that week. One more push, and he'd be tangled in his own mess. Emily didn't know yet, but she'd feel it soon. I escalated with her too. The gallery delays weren't enough. I needed her to unravel. I found her portfolio website, a sleek page showcasing her illustrations, and sent an anonymous email to her biggest client. Heard she's unreliable. I wrote, vague but pointed. Missed deadlines, personal drama. I used a burner account, untraceable. 2 days later, she stormed in, furious, saying they'd pulled a commission. I don't get it, she muttered, pacing the kitchen. They loved my work. I shrugged, stirring soup. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. She glared at me, suspicious, but said nothing. Tom was next. I'd learned he sold sculptures online, rough, abstract pieces that fetched decent prices. I created a fake buyer, Mark, and messaged him about a custom piece. He bit, eager, quoting $2,000. I strung him along, then reported his account for fraud, claimed he'd taken payment and ghosted me. A lie, but Etsy doesn't dig deep. His shop got flagged, reviews tanked. I watched his posts on X turn frantic, pleading his case. Emily came home that night, quiet, her sketchpad untouched. Tom's having a rough time, she said, testing me. Yeah, I replied, neutral. Her jaw tightened, but she dropped it. Lily kept me grounded. She'd chatter about school, her drawings pinned to the fridge, oblivious to the storm brewing. I'd hug her tight, promising myself she'd never see this ugliness. But Emily, I couldn't look at her the same. The photo of her in the sheet, the sketches, the shadows in the studio window, they looped in my head, a reel of betrayal. She turned our life into a canvas for him, and I'd make sure it burned. Mid-January, the cracks widened. Tom's probation hearing was scheduled. I'd called again, said I'd seen him at the bar, slurring, driving off. The officer thanked me, voice clipped. I knew they'd test him, and his temper would do the rest. Emily sensed something too. She'd fidget, ask if I'd heard from him, her tone casual but strained. I'd lie, say no, and watch her squirm. The gallery canceled her show outright, citing scheduling conflicts. She cried in the bedroom, muffled sobs I didn't comfort. I felt no guilt, only purpose. I dug deeper into Tom. His ex-wife's posts hinted at debts, gambling mostly. I found a bookie's name, a guy named Vince, through old forums. I called, disguised my voice, said Tom owed big and was dodging. Vince didn't ask questions, just grunted and hung up. 2 nights later, Tom's truck had a smashed windshield, parked crooked outside his house. I drove by, saw him pacing the porch, yelling into his phone. Emily came home late that night, pale, saying he'd been jumped. Random, she added, unconvincing. I nodded, hiding my smile. Her art suffered. She'd sit at her desk, staring at blank pages, her hands idle. I'd walk by, glance at the emptiness, and feel a dark satisfaction. She'd built this affair into her work, and now it was crumbling. I mailed the torn sketch, Tom's face, her hands on him, to her studio, no note. She found it the next day, called me in a panic. Someone's messing with me, she said, voice shaking. What did they send? I asked, feigning concern. She hesitated, then mumbled, just nonsense. I knew she'd never tell me the truth. Lily asked why Mommy was sad. I said, she's just tired, sweetheart, and took her sledding. The snow muffled everything. Emily's lies, my rage. But at home, the silence was loud. I waited, patient, for the next blow to land. February brought a storm, literal and not. Snow piled up, trapping us inside, and Emily's mood darkened. Tom's hearing happened. He failed the test, whiskey in his system. Probation revoked, 30 days in county jail. I read it online, a small notice, and felt the first real thrill of victory. Emily found out too. She didn't say how, but her face gave it away, pinched and hollow. He's in trouble, she told me over dinner, voice flat. That's rough, I said, cutting chicken for Lily. She stared at me, searching, but I kept my eyes on the plate. Vince, the bookie, didn't stop at the windshield. Tom's house got tagged red spray paint, pay up, in block letters. I saw it on my next drive-by, the place looking more abandoned each time. Emily started leaving earlier, coming back later, her excuses thin. Checking on his place, she'd say, or studio stuff. I didn't challenge her. I wanted her deeper in the mess. I sent another email, this time to her landlord, claiming she'd trashed the loft. They inspected, found nothing, but raised her rent anyway. She raged about it, oblivious to my hand. Her phone buzzed constantly now, Tom's friends, maybe, or creditors. She'd silence it, but I'd hear her whispering in the bathroom, voice urgent. I planted a seed then, subtle. Heard some guys after Tom, money stuff, I said one night, casual. Her fork clattered. Who told you that? She snapped. Just chatter. I shrugged. She didn't sleep that night. I heard her pacing, the floor creaking. Good. Let her stew. Lily drew a picture of us, me, her, Emily, smiling under a rainbow. I hung it up, stared at it, and felt the weight of what I was doing. Not regret, resolve. Emily had chosen this, draped herself in Tom like a muse. I'd strip it all away, piece by piece, until she had nothing left to hold. March crept in, muddy and raw. Tom was out, but the jail stint had broken something. His posts on X were erratic, rants about betrayal, vague threats. Emily tried hiding her worry, but it bled through. Bags under her eyes, nails bitten to the quick. She'd lost another client, her reputation fraying. I'd whispered to a few contacts, nothing traceable, just enough to taint her name. She's unreliable, they'd say now, echoing my words. She blamed the gallery, the economy, everyone but herself. I hit Tom harder. His shop was still down, so I ordered a sculpture through a friend, cash up front, delivered to a fake address. When he showed, no one was there. I reported him again, non-delivery, theft. Another strike. Then I called Vince, said Tom was bragging about skipping town. That night, his truck tires were slashed. Emily came home frantic, saying he'd been attacked again. "It's getting bad," she whispered, clutching her coat. "He needs help." I nodded, silent, my mind racing ahead. She started slipping, left her phone out once, a text from him glowing, "I can't do this without you." I didn't touch it, just memorized the words, let them fuel me. I sent the photos I'd taken, the studio shadows, to his ex-wife, Anonymous. She posted them online, captioned, "Same old Tom." Emily saw it, went pale, but didn't mention it. She knew I'd see too eventually. I waited, letting her dread build. Lily's teacher called. Her grades were slipping. She seemed distracted. I blamed Emily's absence, her chaos spilling over. I took Lily to the park, pushed her on the swing, and promised her everything would be okay. Back home, Emily was sketching again. Frantic, dark lines, nothing like her old work. I saw Tom in every stroke. My revenge was close now, a structure rising, solid and inevitable. Mid-March, the air turned sharp, like a blade waiting to cut. Tom's life was a wreckage. Shop gone, debts piling, Vince circling. Emily was a ghost, drifting through our house, her spark snuffed out. She'd stopped going to the studio, rent too high, inspiration dead. I'd won those battles, but the war wasn't over. She still clung to him, I could tell. Secret calls, her eyes lighting up at his name. I needed something final, something to sever them completely. I found it in his past. His ex-wife's posts mentioned a storage unit, old art, personal stuff. I tracked it down, a facility off I-5, and paid a kid $50 to break in. He brought me photos, letters, sketches, a box of Emily's things, paintbrushes, a scarf, a necklace I'd given her years ago. She'd kept it there with him. My chest burned. I took the necklace, left the rest, and told the kid to torch it. Smoke rose over the highway that night, a signal of my intent. Emily heard the next day. Tom called her, I assume, because she locked herself in the bedroom, sobbing. She emerged red-eyed, saying, "Someone burned his storage unit. Everything's gone." "That's awful," I said, voice steady. She stared at me, searching, but I gave nothing away. The necklace sat in my drawer, a trophy. She didn't ask about it. Didn't know I knew. Lily hugged me that night, said, "I miss how it used to be." I held her, whispering, "Me too." Emily was downstairs, staring at the wall, her world shrinking. I'd taken her art, her lover, her pride. But I wasn't done. The cruelest part was coming. A revelation she'd never see coming. A collapse so complete she'd beg for the life she'd thrown away. April bloomed, deceptive with its soft light and budding trees. The house felt like a mausoleum, preserving a life that no longer existed. Emily was a shell. Her hands shook when she poured coffee. Her sketch pads gathered dust. Tom was a wreck too, from what I gathered, living in a motel now, his truck repossessed, his name mud in the art world. I'd dismantled them both, piece by meticulous piece, but the final blow loomed. I wanted her to see it, to feel it, to know I'd orchestrated her ruin. I started with the necklace. One morning, I left it on the kitchen counter, casual, like it had slipped out of a drawer. Emily froze when she saw it, her mug clattering to the sink. "Where'd you get that?" she whispered, voice raw. "Found it," I said, meeting her eyes. "Thought you'd lost it years ago." She stammered. I did. I don't know how." Her gaze darted, panic rising. I shrugged, left it there, let her stew in the implication. She knew it had been with Tom in that unit. She didn't ask how I'd retrieved it. Couldn't without admitting everything. Tom called her that afternoon. I heard her hushed tones through the wall, her voice breaking. "It's him, I know it," she said. I smiled, polishing a glass, imagining his desperation. I'd sent his ex-wife more Letters from the storage unit. Ones Emily had written, gushing about their connection. She'd posted them online, tagged galleries, clients. Emily's phone lit up with notifications. She silenced it, but I saw the screen. Her name trending, her shame public. She locked herself in the bathroom, water running to mask her sobs. Lily was at a friend's house, safe from this. I sat in my office, the photos and sketches spread out, a map of my vengeance. Emily's career was ash, Tom's life a husk. But it wasn't enough. I needed her to confess, to face me, to break completely. I waited, patient, the necklace glinting in my mind like a guillotine. The next day, Emily cracked. She came downstairs, eyes swollen, clutching her phone. "We need to talk," she said, voice trembling. I leaned back in my chair, blueprints forgotten. "Okay." She sat, hands twisting. Then it spilled out. Months with Tom, stolen moments in the studio. A bond she'd convinced herself was art, not betrayal. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said, tears streaking her face. "He understood me, Daniel. You were always so distant." I listened, stone-faced, her words a dull ache. "I saw the pictures," I said, quiet. "The sketches. Everything." Her breath hitched, realization dawning. She begged then, forgiveness, a fresh start. "I'll end it. I'll fix this." I stood, walked to my office, returned with the photos, the burned sketch, the necklace. I laid them out, a gallery of her lies. "You posed for him," I said, voice low. "You gave him what was ours." She stared, mouth open, no defense left. "How did you?" she started, then stopped, seeing it all, the gallery, Tom's downfall, the whispers. "You did this?" she whispered, horror in her eyes. I didn't deny it. "You chose him," I said. "I chose us." She fled to the bedroom, sobbing, and I let her go. That night, I called Tom's motel, left a message with the desk clerk. She told me everything. It's over. He'd get it, spiral further. I poured a whiskey, sat in the dark, and felt the weight lift. Not joy, satisfaction. Emily's world was rubble, Tom's a grave. Lily slept upstairs, my anchor. I'd protect her, rebuild alone if I had to. But one last twist remained. A cruelty so precise it'd haunt them both. The following week, I executed it. Emily stayed home, hollow, avoiding me. I'd moved to the guest room, our marriage a ghost. She thought the worst was over. Her career trashed, Tom gone, her secrets bared. She was wrong. I'd kept one card close. The studio's security footage. A friend in IT owed me a favor. He'd hacked it months ago, pulled clips. Grainy, but clear. Emily and Tom, tangled in the corner, her laughter echoing. I'd held on to it, waiting. I edited the footage, blurred faces just enough to skirt legality, and uploaded it to a niche art forum, titled Inspiration or Infidelity. I linked her name, Tom's too, let it spread. By noon, it was viral, X buzzed with it, her old clients recoiling, galleries blacklisting her for good. She found out that evening, phone in hand, face ashen. "What is this?" she screamed, shoving the screen at me. I glanced at it, calm. "Looks like you," I said. She lunged, clawing at me, but I stepped back. "You did this," she yelled, voice breaking. "You've ruined me." I nodded, slow. "You ruined us first." Tom got wind too. I heard he trashed his motel room, got arrested again. Perfect. Emily packed a bag that night, said she was leaving, going to her sister's. "Take care of Lily," she muttered, defeated. I didn't stop her. The door slammed, and silence settled. Lily came home the next day, confused but resilient. "Where's Mommy?" she asked. "She's figuring things out," I said, hugging her. I'd shield her from the fallout, be the father she needed. Emily's exit was her surrender. I'd won. But the footage wasn't the end. I'd mailed Tom a package, copies of her letters, the necklace, a note. "She kept this with you. She's gone now. Let him choke on it." My revenge was complete, a structure of pain I'd built with care. Spring deepened, and the house grew quiet. Emily didn't call, didn't fight for Lily. Her sister texted once. Emily was a mess. Staying in Seattle, trying to start over. I didn't care. I torched her bridges. Left her nothing to rebuild with. Tom faded too. Last I heard, he'd skipped town, debts unpaid, a warrant trailing him. The art world forgot them both, their names synonyms for scandal. I'd erased them, surgically, from the life we'd shared. Lily adjusted. Kids are tough, she'd draw, play, ask about Emily less each week. I hired a nanny, kept work steady, poured myself into being her rock. The blueprints on my desk were clean now, no shadows of betrayal smudging the lines. I sold Emily's easel. Her paints cleared the studio's ghost from our home. The necklace went too, melted down, reshaped into a pendant for Lily, a quiet reclaiming. I saw the footage online, sometimes reposted, dissected. People debated artistic freedom or moral rot. I didn't join in. It had done its job. Emily's shame was permanent, Tom's collapse absolute. Friends asked about her, cautious, and I'd say, she left. That's all. They didn't push. The story was mine to close, and I had. Nights, I'd sit on the porch, Mount Hood a silhouette against the stars. The rage was gone, replaced by a cold clarity. I'd loved her once, built a life with her, and she'd draped it over Tom like a prop. I'd taken it back, brick by brick, and made them pay. Not with fists or shouts, with precision, with ruin. It wasn't pretty, but it was mine. By summer, it was over. Lily turned 8, her party loud with balloons and cake, her smile bright. I watched her run through the yard, friends chasing her, and felt peace. Real, solid peace. Emily sent a card, her handwriting shaky, no return address. I'm sorry, it read. Tell Lily I love her. I didn't reply, didn't tell Lily. She'd heal without that weight. I burned the card in the fire pit, the ashes curling into the night. Tom surfaced once. An ex-post, drunk and bitter, blaming her for everything. He didn't name me. He didn't dare. I scrolled past, unbothered. They'd both lost her art, his freedom, their illusion of something sacred. I'd won not by chance but by design. The house was ours now, Lily's and mine. A new foundation laid over the old. I took her camping in July, just us under a sky so clear it hurt. She pointed at constellations, giggling, and I thought, this is enough. Emily and Tom were footnotes. Their betrayal a scar that had faded. My revenge had been cruel, yes, but it was justice, a reckoning for what they dared. I'd rebuilt, not with hate, but with love, for Lily, for the life ahead. The past was dust and I was free.